the first time this word comes into the Bible with regard to flesh foods. Why does the use the word clean? Clean for what? Clean to eat. Yeah, it's clean for food. The opposite of clean is what? Dirty or unclean. Yeah, you wouldn't say, here, I'll have some dirty food. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. 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 What would have happened to an animal if, say, Noah had eaten an unclean animal? It would have been extinct. Yeah, that would have extincted that species. Of course, then Noah knows better than that. And all the children's stories you see about Noah and his ark, you always see the animals going on 2 by 2. People always forget about the sevens. The sevens were for sacrifice and for food, right? But if you had eaten an unclean animal, you would have extincted that species. Yes. Now that's another good point. And this is before. A lot of people will say, this clean and unclean thing goes back to Moses' law. You can know, that's Moses' law. But this is way before Moses, isn't it? Yes. Exactly. You're right. There were a lot of post-flood changes, not just, in the diet, but shorter lives, which Ken brought up. The extreme seasons. I don't think they had the extreme seasons because now the earth tilts on the axis. The firmament is gone. Remember the waters that separated from the waters below? The firmament is gone. The whole face of the earth is destroyed. Yeah. Question number 6. How did God distinguish clean animals from unclean animals? Now, Leviticus 11 is going to give us most of our information on clean versus unclean animals. Leviticus 11, verse 44 says, "Make a difference between the unclean and the clean, and between the beast that may be eaten and the beast that may not be eaten." So if it's not clean, it is dirty. And the Bible divides these animals that can be eaten into 3 major categories. Land animals, water animals, and fowls, or birds, right? I think in your lesson we got Leviticus 11 and verse 3, speaking of land animals. It says, "Whatever parts the hoof and chews the cud, that ye shall eat." Now what would be an example of an animal that chews the cud and parts the hoof? The cow, yeah. Sheep, right? A deer, I guess, is technically a clean animal, right? Yeah, a deer, yeah. Apparently they chew their cud. Yeah, we see them chewing. We see deer in our yard, all them just chewing their gum. Yes. Right, a rabbit chews the cud, but it has a paw. Yeah, no hoof on that rabbit. Right. I think, I don't know if this is in your lesson, but Leviticus 11, verse 7 and 8, it says the swine, the Bible describes some of the animals that should not be eaten. It says the swine, now what kind of animal is a swine? Okay, the pig, the swine, though he divide the hoof, yet he chews not the cud, he is unclean to you, of their flesh ye shall not eat. They are unclean to you. Very clear, the Bible says it's got to have a cloven hoof, split hoof, and chew the cud. And then the Bible explains a variety of species or an animal that is not clean. Very clear. It says, now the pig, now take notice, it talks about the camel and a few other animals, but it really specifies on something that people are used to eating or interested in eating. It says, now the pig is unclean to you. Now if you go to water animals, Leviticus 11:12, it says, whatever has no fins nor scales in the waters shall be an abomination to you. What would be an example of some sea creature who has no fins or scales? Catfish, yeah? Lobster, oyster, shrimp, catfish. Yeah, catfish. Now that has no real scales, do they? That's more of a slimy skin. Yeah. Dolphins are unclean, aren't they? Dolphins have some hard fins, but they have no scales. Yeah, right. What about, she's asking, what about whales? No way. Yeah. Yeah. Sharks don't have scales. Yeah, they're yeah, like armor or something. Yeah. The military had actually sponsored a little study, a little research study, and a man named Dr. Bruce Halstead, he did some research for the U.S. government to determine which fish our American servicemen over there in the Middle East can safely eat for survival. Say they were stranded on an island or stranded on a boat and they were lost at sea or whatever. He said they needed to do some research to see what was safe to eat out of the water. And he concluded, Dr. Bruce Halstead concluded that the rule of thumb for the U.S. Army, Navy, Marines, and Air Force is to follow would be that you may eat any sea life that has fins and scales. This is an official multi-million-dollar government project. They studied it out, didn't consult the Bible, but they came to the same conclusion as the Bible, that if it has fins and scales, it's safe to eat. Isn't that interesting? Yeah, right. Some sushi there. Yeah. I wonder if they did that. Yeah. Got sick. I'm sick of that one. Oh, that one made me sick. Yeah. I've heard a lot of people getting sick from that. But that's a common food. I mean, a lot of people out here in the South will eat catfish. Catfish is technically an unclean animal. How about birds? Leviticus 11, 13 through 19. It says, "These shall not be eaten: the eagle, the ossifrage, the osprey, the vulture, the raven, the owl, hawk, swan, pelican, eagle, stork, heron." I think the cacao is not in there. What is a cacao anyway? I love to say that. My kids love to say it, the cacao. The stork, the heron, and the bat. Oh no more bat steaks for you anymore. No more bat. Basically anything that eats another animal or it scavenges. It's a little not quite as clear on the fowl, but it's categorizing all these animals we just listed, all these birds we just listed, they prey on other birds, right? Prey on other animals. They're like the cleanup, like a buzzard. A buzzard will go out when something dies on the road, they call in the cleanup, and then the buzzards come in there and clean up the mess. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Isn't that something? Like the fly. He comes down there and cleans. Yeah, pelicans. Yes. But they probably. What about a duck? I remember when I was a young person, I used to like to eat duck. Oh, but then I found out later it was a scavenger. So duck would be listed as unclean. But how about the goose? Goose is technically a clean animal, is the way I understand it. But the duck is a little different because the duck is primarily a scavenger. Yeah, a chickens. Yeah. The chicken's not listed in the Bible, but it's a foraging bird technically, and so that's supposed to be a clean. It's a clean animal. What about quail? The quail is clean. Now, quail is clean because you remember the children of Israel ate quail at one point. Got them all sick, but they ate it. That was allowed. God allowed it. Question number 7. What other restrictions did God give about meat eating? Genesis 9 and verse 4 says, "But flesh with the life thereof, which is the blood, shall ye not eat." Now you've heard of kosher. I think there's a little picture of a kosher deli. We built that picture. Kosher means it's a certain way of butchering an animal. It's where they cut it in the right spots and hang it upside down and have it all drained, all the blood drained out of it, and then all the fat systematically cut off of it. No fat and no blood. It's kosher, and it's a very rare thing. I have never seen a kosher deli on Sand Mountain yet. Not that there isn't one, but I haven't seen one. But anyway, but the reason is the disease, we found out, and science can back this up, that the disease is mostly carried in the blood of an animal. So when you go to the meat store and you buy some meat, usually when you get that styrofoam package of meat with the covering over it, you tilt it sideways, you see all the blood rush to the side, isn't it? Now that would not be a kosher piece of meat, would it? That is not kosher. Leviticus 3 and verse 17 says, "Eat neither fat," the word is fat there, "eat neither fat nor blood," which of course poses a problem for Christian people who are, choose to eat meat. The Bible does not say you can't eat meat, but it does say you can't eat blood and you shouldn't eat fat. It restricts that. So that poses a very big problem for those of us that would choose to eat meat. So us meat eaters, you would have to find kosher food. I don't know any kosher delis around here. In Los Angeles, you'll find a ton of them. Question number 8. Is it a serious offense to eat unclean food?